As hereditary leaders, we have been struggling to maintain our rights and responsibilities on our land.
In the past, I was told that this dream that we have of building projects in our communities and in our territories was impossible. And now I think people are starting to realize that First Nations do have good, viable projects.
It all started off with a dream that turned into an action of First Nations working together in their respective traditional territories that expanded into a provincial organization.
The Major Projects Coalition is a vehicle that we developed. We provide capacity development for major projects in economic development, in the environmental assessment process, and also in access to capital.
An example of such tools that we have created include the Major Project Assessment Standard, which was designed by First Nations for First Nations. What this tool does is help communicate First Nation interests to industry and government as to their expectations on how they would like to engage on major project proposals and developments.
The work of the Coalition is important because for thousands of years, First Nations have seen what happens to our land and resources when we're not involved in a meaningful way. The work our members are doing is historic and is a prime example of what taking control of our territory and our opportunities look like through equity ownership and environmental assessment.
The First Nations Major Project Coalition is a Canada-wide organization that offers services free of charge to First Nations looking at wanting tools and resources and expertise in areas that explore major projects.
We've been in a proactive mode trying to work with Rio Tinto installing the Kenny Dam Release Facility. For decades, we've tried several different proposals over the years. We've found nothing but frustration. When our last proposal to build the release facility here at Kenny Dam failed, about that same time the Major Projects Coalition was forming, bringing people from all over British Columbia, Alberta, and Western Canada together on positive economic development ventures that communities big and small have been struggling with. The Major Projects Coalition brought a high level of energy, expertise, and credibility. The coalition became intrigued with the potential of the Kenny Dam Release Facility, and just in a few short years it's went again from a concept to an actual physical project. The First Nation Major Projects Coalition brings that level of credibility and expertise to a project and also fills a huge gap that has never existed before between First Nation communities and industrial companies.
The role of Indigenous communities within our respective territories has always been to take care of our land, to take care of our territories, thus taking care of our cultural aspects of who we are as Indigenous people.
First Nations are really in the seat of controlling and guiding developments within their territory. The First Nations Major Project Coalition offers tools and resources and advisors to help communities make decisions on major project development.
It's the first time we've had a collection of First Nations from across the country unified in trying to impact the environmental and economic impacts of projects. Indigenous influence on major projects is important because the way the country is going, any project, no matter where it is, that affects Indigenous people must have an Indigenous voice and Indigenous participation to be successful.
It's because it is a coalition run by Indigenous people for Indigenous people. So that is a unique model, and that there is no other model that represents the nation as the way it is.
There is that term divide and conquer, and it works. So what we like to do is actually bring everybody together and give everyone that option to work together to build their communities up. To actually build those friendships to help benefit all our communities as a whole.
The largest impact, when I think about it, is the hope that our people have now.
It would be a very, very beneficial for all communities to actually join something like this that brings communities together and gives you the opportunity to actually get a fair shake at getting a piece of a lot of these major projects going through.
We are taking on more project capacity requests each day, and the projects are getting more challenging and complex, which is an indication of our members' appetite to get involved, making sure that Indigenous communities have voices in the boardroom and at the management level of major projects, and ultimately making sure that Indigenous interests make a core part of a project's business plan so that the community can see their values reflected back at them. This is what we're working towards. We've got great direction from our board of directors, and we've got a very dedicated membership, so the future is very bright for the First Nations Major Projects Coalition as we advance into our 5th year of existence.